Friends all, Gemar Chatima Tova to each of you, the greeting for Yom Kippur. It is Neilah, the end of Yom Kippur, one of the most poignant moments of our High Holy Day season, as we now ask to be sealed in the Book of Life for the year ahead. We know that nothing is necessarily guaranteed to us. So, understandably, our prayers assume added intensity. Once again, how grateful I am to my cherished colleague and longtime friend, Rabbi Michael Safra, for inviting me to share some thoughts with our B'nai Israel community as part of our Neilah service. I would also like to pause as we all remember Rabbi Matthew Simon, Zichrono Livracha, who shaped our congregation in so many ways and with whom I worked closely in my early years here. It's no secret, certainly to those who know me, that I have always loved biking. For me, it's both relaxing and rejuvenating. Often I wrote my High Holy Day sermons, at least in my head, as I navigated on my bike. One of my favorite bike adventures was with our son David one summer when he was studying at Georgetown Law. We spent 3 days exploring the back roads of the Shenandoah Valley, averaging about 40 miles each day. Tiring, to be sure, but also so exhilarating. We enjoyed it so much that we did it again the next year with a different route. When I spoke last year at Neilah, I could never have anticipated that just a few weeks later, on a gorgeous October afternoon, I would experience a near catastrophic bike accident on the Capitol Crescent Trail in Bethesda. The scenario that ensued was life-changing. A serious traumatic brain injury, 4 days in an ICU unit, 10 days at an inpatient acute rehab hospital, 3 months on crutches because my balance was so wobbly and unpredictable, excruciating, unrelenting headaches, and many forms of follow-up therapy. But thanks to God, an extraordinary medical team, as well as the heartwarming emotional support of family, friends, and my beloved B'nai Israel community, I am here after almost a full year of recuperation to tell the tale and to try and extract some meaning from this harrowing scenario. So, what have I learned? Life is exceptionally fragile, even if you do not have a bad bike accident. And yet, too often we allow ourselves to be diverted, distracted, and thus fail to focus on the gift, which is already ours. No one, no matter how capable and self-assured, can weather the inevitable challenges of our human journey alone. We all need the help, caring, and empathy of others to ease the really tough stuff that may assail us. And in the end, our own courage, resilience, faith, and sense of hope count for a lot. While I was recuperating, I thought from time to time about a piece I had once read. It's called To Hold with Open Arms, and it was authored by Rabbi Milton Steinberg, one of the great writers and thinkers of our conservative movement in an earlier era. While on a speaking tour across the United States, Rabbi Steinberg, still a relatively young man, suffered a devastating heart attack. This is what he writes. After that long illness, I was permitted for the first time to step out of doors. And as I crossed the threshold, sunlight greeted me. This is my experience, all there is to it. And yet, so long as I live, I shall never forget that moment. It was mid-January, a time of cold and storm up north, but in Texas, where I happened to be, a season much like our spring. The sky overhead was very blue, very clear, and very, very high. A faint wind blew from off the western plains, cool and yet somehow tinged with warmth, like a dry, chilled wine. And everywhere in the firmament above me, in the great vault between earth and sky, on the pavements, the buildings, the golden glow of the sunlight. It touched me, too, with friendship, with warmth, with blessing. And as I basked in its glory, there ran through my mind those wonder words of the prophet about the sun which someday shall rise with healing on its wings. In that instant, I looked about me to see whether anyone else seemed to be feeling the joy, almost the beatitude that I felt. But no, there they walked, men and women and children, in the glory of a golden flood, and so far as I could detect, there was none to give it heed. And then I remembered how often I, too, had been indifferent to sunlight, how often preoccupied with petty and sometimes mean concerns, I had disregarded it. And I said to myself, how precious is the sunlight, but alas, how careless of it are men. How precious, how careless, how precious, how careless. And this has been a refrain sounding in me ever since. It rang in my spirit when I entered my own home again after months of absence, when I heard from a nearby room the excited voices of my children at play, when I looked once more on the dear faces of some of my friends, when I was able for the first time to speak again from my pulpit in the name of our faith and tradition, to join in worship of the God who gives us so much of which we are so careless. And a resolution crystallized within me. I said to myself that at the very first opportunity I would speak of this. I knew full well that it is a commonplace truth, that there is nothing particularly clever about my private rediscovery of it, nothing ingenious about my way of putting it, but I was not interested in being original or clever or ingenious. I wanted only to remind my listeners, as I had been reminded, to spend my life wisely and not to squander it. Back to me. Each morning now, when I unglue my eyes from sleep and realize in that first awareness that I have been blessed with a new day, a rebirth, so to speak, I quietly voice the words of our Jewish tradition. Modeh ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shehechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla, Rabbi emunatecha. I thank you, God, that once again in your compassion you have restored my soul. Great indeed is your faithfulness. There are endless opportunities to activate our human potential each day, to draw on the mitzvah system which is uniquely ours in Judaism and accessible to each of us. For us as Jews, it is the framework to build a life of purpose and of consequence, a life that transcends the trivialities of our everyday routine. Is it easy? Of course not. It's a lifelong quest requiring focus, determination, and vision. Will there be moments of darkness and difficulty for each of us? when it feels as if the sun had been obliterated, exactly as I experienced in the aftermath of my bike accident, when the road forward seemed so very murky and frightening? Yes, yes indeed. But then, for our inner mantra, let's call to mind an inspiring message embedded in a song by Leonard Cohen. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And yes, in case you are wondering, October 24th is going to be my new alive day.